but you're worried that this is not just a couple of one-offs. You believe this could be a start of a prolonged spate of violence.
I think so, because right now the neighboring country, Myanmar, is in total chaos. And I think it's a spillover from there. Even the drone attack is a spillover from there, because in recent times, this thing has been happening in a big way in Myanmar, Shan State, where the Three Brotherhood Alliance has been attacking the military with drones in a big way. And I think, we are neighbors, so that thing is spilling over here.
Are you saying that the technology that can check drones and counter drones is available in Manipur but wasn't used in this instance?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. The Assam Rifles especially has this the technology, and this has been told before that some drones were actually captured. This could have been done in this case as well, but probably they were taken by surprise or whatever.
But after hearing what you've just said, that the technology to check drones and counter drones exists but wasn't used, is there a sense that after 4 months of relative calm, the security agencies dropped their guard?
I think that probably is the case. And also, as I said, there are people interested in keeping the pot boiling. They were taking this opportunity. There was 4 months of calm, so probably they found a loophole there and used it.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. After 4 months of relative calm, violence has once again flared up in Manipur, this time with the use of rocket-propelled grenades fired from high-tech drones. How worrying is this development? Could the Kuki insurgents groups be responsible, as some papers have speculated, and is it a sign that the Manipur police have dropped their guard? Those are the key issues I shall raise today with the well-known senior journalist, columnist, and author Pradip Phanjoubam. Pradip Phanjoubam, how serious and worrying is Sunday's sudden upsurge of killing and violence in Manipur, which resulted in 2 deaths and perhaps 10 people getting injured? And I noticed it was repeated again on Monday when there were 3 further injuries. Is this a couple of one-offs after 4 months of relative calm? Or do you fear that this could be the start of a fresh, prolonged flare-up of violence?
Yeah, I think it has both that angle, that it was actually meant to actually keep the pot boiling. The theory that conflict is a market, there are people benefiting from it, and also that there are goals which this conflict is aimed at by certain people, and those people behind, or those people aspiring for those goals, will want this conflict to continue. And I think that's basically what's happening. It was cooling down, and then suddenly again this is coming up. And these people who are interested in the conflict are on both sides, and as obviously, it's in any kind of conflict, international conflict included, which Chomsky called the military-industrial complex. That kind of thing is happening on the local scale as well. There are people benefiting from it. There are people who think if this pot is kept boiling, the rewards at the end will be bigger. So I think the first thing to be done is to let it be known that there are no rewards at the end.
I'll come to that in a moment's time. I'll come to that in a moment's time, but you're worried that this is not just a couple of one-offs. You believe this could be a start of a prolonged spate of violence.
I think so, because right now the neighboring country, Myanmar, is in total chaos. And I think it's a spillover from there. Even the drone attack is a spillover from there, because in recent times, this thing has been happening in a big way in Myanmar, Shan State, where the Three Brotherhood Alliance has been attacking the military with drones in a big way. And I think, we are neighbors, so that thing is spilling over here. And it's not going to be just an Oppenheimer moment. You have this weapon, you better surrender. The other side will also start acquiring these weapons, and then it's going to escalate, and the conflict can get worse. I hope it doesn't, but then it can get worse.
Now, on this occasion, rocket-propelled grenades were fired from high-tech drones. The Manipur police calls this a significant escalation. In your eyes, how ominous and worrying is this development? The use not just of rocket-propelled grenades, but the use of high-tech drones to fire them.
Actually, it is worrying, but then also there are counter technologies, the jammers, which already the security forces already have. Probably they were taken by surprise that they were not able to use it, but they have this. I know people there. I know people who have told me this that the jammers are already there. Not just the jammers, but technology which can take control, which can snatch control of these drones from those handling it, and actually bring it under your own control. That kind of technology is already available here. And probably this is because, especially with
Can I interrupt? Are you saying that the technology that can check drones and counter drones is available in Manipur but wasn't used in this instance?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. The Assam Rifles especially has this the technology, and this has been told before that some drones were actually captured. This could have been done in this case as well, but probably they were taken by surprise or whatever. But in the future, if this escalates, then I think probably that technology will come to be in bigger use.
But Manipur's new Director General of Police, Rajiv Singh, announced immediately after Sunday's violence that all the districts of the state had been put on maximum alert. But after hearing what you've just said, that the technology to check drones and counter drones exists but wasn't used, is there a sense that after 4 months of relative calm, the security agencies dropped their guard?
I think that probably is the case. And also, as I said, there are people interested in keeping the pot boiling. They were taking this opportunity. There was 4 months of calm, so probably they found a loophole there and used it.
Okay, but you do fear that after 4 months of relative calm, the security agencies dropped their guard. A certain complacency set in.
I think so. And in fact, there were also other kinds of weapons used. I mean, cannon fire is the locally made cannon which fires projectiles. These things cannot be hidden under the bed. So I think there was a lax on the part of the security forces to control these things. I mean, these are not small weapons which can be hidden under your pillow. These are big weapons firing mortars and other projectiles. And those things should have been visible to the security forces, but that they were not detected.
Let me go back to the statement put out by the Manipur police. A moment ago, I quoted a part of that statement where the police said that it was a significant escalation that rocket-propelled grenades were fired from high-tech drones. There's a second part of that statement I want to read out. It says, the involvement of highly trained professionals, possibly with technical expertise and support, cannot be ruled out. If such highly trained professionals with expertise were involved, the question is, where did they come from? Could it be the Kuki insurgents breaking the terms of the Sioux agreement, as the Times of India has speculated?
Definitely, if the Sioux militants are involved, then they would have broken the ground rules, I mean, quite visibly. But if these are done by people outside of the Sioux agreement, then that's something else. But the thing is, this is a worrying development. As I said, that it's not going to be a one-off kind of an attack. There's going to be retaliation. The technology is available. It's not a patented or exclusive kind of technology available to one side only. So the conflict can actually escalate and become much more uglier, which is dangerous. And also, I hope it doesn't happen again, but it can be very dangerous.
What's your personal opinion? Were Kuki insurgents who are part of the Sioux agreement involved? Did they breach the terms of their agreement?
That I think will have to be investigated because those people in the Sioux agreement, 2,200 people who have signed that, who are in that list, will have to be checked. If they are involved, then I think probably the Sioux is not working. As it is, there are allegations that it is not working. It should be abrogated. But if they are involved in this, not just minor kind of infringement, but in this major kind of break of that ground rule, then I think the Sioux should be rethought.
So are you saying that at the moment, as things stand, we don't know whether Kuki insurgents who are part of the Sioux agreement were involved or not? We need to check, we need to find out. At this moment, we just don't know.
I think that should be the approach. that and of course, if the Sioux militants are involved, then I think there should be serious retributive actions.
Now, the violence occurred 24 hours after the Kuki people took out rallies in the hill districts demanding a separate administration. That happened at several different points of the hill districts on Saturday. Is there a connection between the Saturday rallies and the violence that we saw on Sunday and which was repeated again on Monday? Is there a connection between the two?
I think that will again be a speculation, but the coincidence is too close, so that people are justified in thinking that this is part of a bigger plan, and both the events were part of that plan. But as I said, it's a speculation again, and we'll have to wait and see. Let it be investigated, and also it's a sequence of events that have been happening since the start of this conflict. So I think a bigger kind of investigation, which is already happening. In fact, Justice Lamba is doing an investigation. He is delaying that the report, but the investigation certainly is on. So we have to wait for that report.
This investigation will establish whether there's a link between the rallies held on Saturday and the violence that we saw on Sunday and Monday. Is that what you're saying?
No. This is an investigation into the conflict, which will obviously take this into consideration. And okay. In fact, where there was also some allegations of leaked videos, audios, which I think is also being...
I'll come to the leaked videos and audios in a moment's time. But you're saying the investigation into the conflict will shed some light on the question, is there a connection between the Saturday rallies and the violence on Sunday and Monday?
I think if the investigation is comprehensive, it should come out there.
Okay, now in a letter that he wrote to the Home Minister yesterday, Raj Kumar Imo Singh, who is the Chief Minister's son-in-law, and I'll hold up that letter, there it is, he's called for all 60,000 central forces in Manipur to be removed. And secondly, he's called for the headship of the unified command to be given to the Chief Minister. In the circumstances that prevail today, does this make sense? Or is it a one-sided response that could very possibly exacerbate the situation?
I think it is a response, a quick kind of response, and not properly thought out, in a sense that you cannot just withdraw the state. You withdraw the security forces or the police means you're withdrawing the state officially. The state has not been very active for all this while, but you're doing so officially if you are just going to withdraw all the security forces. But the other demand of actually giving the command of the unified command to the chief minister that's what the protocol is about. That it was supposed to be that way, but this was actually removed and somebody else was put in place of the chief minister, which must have been quite insulting for him. And also now people are beginning to rethink because nothing is working. If that arrangement had worked, then these questions would have come up. But that arrangement is also not working.
So you're saying two things. You're saying, first of all, the demand that all 60,000 central forces in Manipur should be removed is what you called a quick response. I take it you mean it's a hasty response, and you added it's not properly thought out. Am I correct as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think I said what you just interpreted.
So it's a hasty response. It's not properly thought out.
I think it's a hasty response. It should have been the response should have been for a proper use of the forces available.
But you believe that the second demand raised by Raj Kumar Imo Singh, that the headship of the unified command should be given to the chief minister, that could be more justified.
The chief minister. I'm talking about a chief minister, not any person. The chief minister is supposed to be at the head of that unified command. But this thing was changed. I don't know why. Maybe there are other reasons.
Well, it was changed because the chief minister is Meitei and is widely believed to be siding with the Meiteis, and people felt, or maybe the central government felt, that you needed someone who was recognized as being impartial, which the chief minister at that time was not.
So why wasn't the chief minister changed instead? The chief minister is an institution. I'm not talking about the person. You're talking about a person. I'm talking about the institution. The institution of the chief minister was supposed to head the unified command. That is the structure of that particular arrangement. That structure was changed. I'm not talking about who should remain a chief minister, who should not.
I take your point. You're saying if the chief minister is not fit to be head of the unified command, then clearly the same person is not fit to be chief minister either.
Yeah, the second point. The first point is that the chief minister should be at the head. I'm not talking about any person, but the institution of the chief minister should be. It's like saying the chief of the army staff can be taken over by somebody else. I'm not talking about the person. You can replace that chief of the army staff, but you can't have that chief of the army staff handled by the prime minister or somebody else, which is what happened in Manipur. And I think this is a clear break of protocol.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Let's widen our discussion at this point, Pradip Phanjoubam, and let's raise that issue about those leaked audio and videotapes that you mentioned a moment ago. Recently, tapes have appeared where what purports to be the voice of Chief Minister Biren Singh claims that he was aware of and allowed the violence to happen last year. He even encouraged it. At times, it's interpreted to be that he's claiming to be the architect of it. How do you, a very senior, experienced journalist, view these tapes? Do you think they are authentic?
Yeah, that will again have to be investigated, whether it was tampered. But the only thing that that is immediately noticeable is that these were presented in clips. I don't know if those clips were taken in within the context or they were taken out of context, because the whole of the tape can mean something else. I mean, maybe he was using those little clips as to illustrate something else, which is harmless. Whatever, I'm saying that I have nothing to imagine why these clips, not the whole tape, was leaked. I mean, the whole tape must have been leaked, but the ones which were leaked to the press and certain social media were just clips. I don't know why that was done. Maybe the whole tape says something else, and these were taken out of context. So I'm just raising that doubt so that after the investigation, we'll know. But again, there is another point. Supposing, and this seems to be the taping, the recording seems to have happened in a private kind of meeting, because in the chief minister's office, there is a security cordon beyond which you cannot take mobile phones or any other recording device without permission, except if they are cabinet colleagues or close friends of the chief minister. You cannot take in any recording device or mobile phone. So the meeting must have happened in a closed circuit of friends or a private party. So I don't know how. Okay, the moral authority, he would have surrendered by saying that. I mean, Caesar's wife must be above reproach, which also means that Caesar must be above reproach. That reproach he has earned. But whether that amounts to any legal kind of liability, I don't know. Because, in a private talk, you can just talk any rubbish.
I take the point you're making, and you made a very important distinction that what have been released are clips, not the full recording. And it's only when we see the full recording that we know whether the clips have been taken out of context or whether in context they still mean the same thing as they seem to mean on their own as clips. But tell me something. You've probably heard those clips. Did the voice sound like Biren Singh's voice?
Yeah, it does. It does sound like Biren Singh's voice. But then I don't know if it is partially, or it could be partially altered, in a sense that, you have so much of technology, and I'm also aware and familiar with some of the technology of editing videos and audio. And so much can be done there. Even if it's the actual voice, you can tamper it to some extent. No, not the whole thing doctored, but by removing certain portions, you can actually alter the meaning. So we have to find out if that actually happened. First thing is that, and we have to also be aware that whether this was said in a public meeting where he was inciting a crowd or whether it was in a private party of 5-6 of his friends, which is likely because, as I said, nobody can take mobile phones or recording devices into the CM secretariat or bungalow. So it must have been somebody who knew this chief minister, and I don't know why he leaked and why he leaked.
Can I interrupt again? This also suggests from what you're saying that the recording was made and thereafter leaked by someone who is a confidant of the chief minister, either a minister who is permitted to take his mobile phone into the room or a close friend of the chief minister who has the same position. This basically means that a confidant of the chief minister has done the recording and leaked it, and in a very real sense let down the chief minister, because the chief minister would have thought what he was saying would remain private.
Yeah, I think that probably is the case. There would be somebody in that circuit who did that recording, and for what, I don't know. It could be a personal ambition, somebody who is also aspiring for that post, or it could be something else. Now, you wanted to please somebody else, so he did it, or whatever. But I think it has to be somebody who can take a mobile phone inside the CM secretariat. Yeah.
These are very worrying. These are very worrying clips if they turn out to be accurate. But as you said, the voice does sound like Biren Singh's voice, although it could have been tampered with. We need to establish whether they are accurate or not very quickly. Is there a process to establish it quickly, or is the government simply playing for time?
From the reports that I've been reading, and you must have also read them, it also came out in the wire that the reports are actually the recording is with the Justice Lamba investigation. So that will be part of that bigger investigation, and I'm sure they will establish. I trust that judicial inquiry to do justice.
But are they speeding with haste, or are they dragging their feet?
I think they are dragging their feet. This particular commission was supposed to submit their report in 6 months. That has been extended. Now it's 1.5 years. It's still going on. So it's been extended probably because things are much more complicated than people thought in the beginning. They thought it was a straight fight, but there are so many angles to it. So the investigation must have found that it will not be doing justice to just say give a very linear kind of an explanation of the problem here. And as I said, let me just repeat that point again, that even if it is proven to be authentic, that a chief minister has said it, we have also to find out under what circumstance, whether it was just a few friends he was doing it.
But hang on a second. How do the circumstances make a difference? If it's proven to be authentic that the chief minister said it and claimed that he was the architect of the violence, that he had permitted and encouraged it and perhaps instigated it, then does it matter whether he said this privately to friends or whether he said it in some sort of public forum? What matters is that he's incriminated himself, not where he did so.
Yeah, he claimed it, right? But from the legal point of view, those claims have to be proven. Maybe there are evidences of that. Maybe he said there were bombs fired. Maybe the DGP can speak up, maybe the army can speak up, maybe eyewitnesses come forward and say that this actually happened, and the spent cartridges here. Those kind of evidences will be necessary for any legal kind of proceeding. These are claims. He could be a mad person just claiming everything that under the world, claiming to be a Superman. But those claims will have to be proven. That's basically.
I take your point. The chief minister could be bragging and showing off and actually not speaking the truth, but simply exaggerating his own role.
Yeah, it could also be an ego defense response.
Except I'll move on, but I'll simply add for the audience, it's a bit unlikely that any chief minister would exaggerate and show off to the extent of claiming to be the architect and instigator of violence. But who knows? People say all sorts of strange things, and maybe this is what is the explanation. Let me come to something else that Chief Minister Biren Singh has recently said in an interview. He said that he expects peace and harmony to be restored between the Kuki and the hightech community in 6 months' time. Is that at all likely given the situation that prevails today, or is that just a boast?
No, I think it's just a boast, just as he posted in that audio clip. Let me just bring that again in. And I was just saying that maybe this is also an ego defense. He was disgraced in many ways, that he was not able to act. He's seen as incompetent. He's been removed from that unified command. So he's trying to assert his presence, his power by making all these claims that peace in 6 months. Then I did this, I did that in that closed circuit or whatever. So what I'm basically saying is that we have to get the entire picture, get the entire recording, and see what the circumstances were.
But Pradip Phanjoubam, you're suggesting something much deeper and more worrying. If it is the case that the chief minister boasted falsely and wrongly that he's the architect of the violence and he was the man who encouraged and instigated it. And secondly, if it is the case that the chief minister is again wrongly and falsely boasting that peace will be restored in 6 months, then you have an unreliable, untrustworthy person as chief minister, a man who's falsely boasting and getting caught out. Surely that sort of person should not be chief minister in such a difficult, tricky situation as Manipur is at the moment.
Yeah, I was qualifying this that first of all, we have to get the entire report out first, see what the actual situation is, whether he said this in a serious manner or not. That will be known after the whole tape is heard. Whether he was just using it as an illustration or something else, those kind of things will be known after the whole tape is out. So we'll have to be knowing everything before we pass these judgments. And the other thing is the legality of it, the difference between moral responsibility and legal responsibility. Legal responsibility, he may not have forfeited, but definitely the moral responsibility that Caesar's wife must be above reproach, which actually means Caesar must be above reproach.
Okay.
That reproach was earned for him.
But it also emerges from the speculation that you're putting out that the chief minister is unreliable in the sense that he says anything that comes into his mind. He doesn't think about the consequences of what he said. He makes boasts that are quite obviously false. That is not the sort of person who should be chief minister of Manipur.
Which is what is implied in that Caesar's wife must be above reproach. He has done that approach, but not the qualifier that I'm putting here is that in terms of legal infringement, maybe there is nothing much, because this was probably said. If I come back home and then boast about what I did, what I'm capable of to my family, it doesn't amount to a legal offense. So that I'm just saying we have to know the entire context before we are able to pass judgments.
Okay, my last question. There is a widespread view that peace will only be restored to Manipur if the center and perhaps the prime minister in particular directly involve themselves. At the moment, that seems very, very unlikely. So how do you see the future, to the extent one can see the future?
Yeah, I think this is quite tragic in a way. And I had in fact written one article for the Hindu in this, the Jelly Demer's assertion that in 1993, when Bosnia broke into ethnic conflict and the Serbs and the Albanians were fighting, there was the US apparently was preparing, Bill Clinton was preparing to intervene there. But he was given a book by Robert Kaplan, The Balkan Ghost, where he said, these are primordial kind of enmity. You cannot stop it. You stop them today, they'll fight again tomorrow. So he delayed it. Ultimately, they intervened. But in the years that elapsed before that, in that delay, so much of damage has been done. And I saw something of that sort here, that these are primordial kind of conflict. They let them sort it out. They'll get tired and it'll solve by itself. There's nothing much we can do. That kind of an attitude is there from the center, which is doing a lot of damage. The intervention should have come immediately after the violence broke out, maybe in the first month itself, maybe president's rule, maybe martial law.
And the truth is, there is no sign of intervention by the center even today, 15, 16 months after the violence broke out in May last year. There's no sign of Delhi intervening.
No sign of intervention. And I think it's going to be much more complex now. If it had been done in the first month itself, I think it would have been much easier. It must have been the boundaries would have been very much clearer. Now the boundaries are blurred. You don't know where the attackers are, who the victim, who the perpetrator. Those things have blurred out altogether in the 1.5 years. So it's going to be much more difficult and complex.
So by failing to act, Delhi has made the situation worse.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Delhi, I think, took that Bill Clinton approach. These are primordial conflict, tribal fighting each other. They will fight. Even if you stop them now, they'll fight again later. So let them sort it out for themselves. That kind of approach was there very much.
Okay. I thank you very much, Pradip Phanjoubam, for this interview, for making time for me, and for explaining things as you see them in Manipur. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.